In this episode of GarageBand Weekly, we'll be taking a look at what Apple are likely to announce in their new September 2021 event. What will that have to do with GarageBand? Probably nothing. Sorry, I buried the lead. No, I didn't. I spoiled it. We'll also be looking at my Songtember song and doing a deep dive into the mix notes that I've taken so that I can show you how I translate my notes that I take when I'm listening back into actual changes in a song. All of that and more coming up in the next hour here on GarageBand Weekly. Let's do it.
Weekly, GarageBand Weekly, GarageBand Weekly.
Can you tell that things are a little bit chaotic here today? Organised chaos is what I like to call it. But I'd like to welcome you if you're here live or if you're watching on the replay. And if you have any questions throughout the show, we will have plenty of time for Q&A as well. So if you've got a question, just throw the word question in front of your comment here and I will be happy to try and answer anything that you may have. And today's show is brought to you by the GarageBand Beginner's Guide, which you can check out over at studiolivetoday.com/courses. Here's what it looks like when you go to that web address. You can jump in there and for just $10, you can get 5 hours of curated content, and that is all of the best stuff that I have that I've created over the last few years about GarageBand for the beginners. So everything from setting up your first project through to recording, through to mixing, mastering, and finally completing your song in GarageBand. So if you want to support the channel and if you want to up your GarageBand game, you can jump over there, studiolivetoday.com/courses, and you'll be good to go. You can also jump to the FAQ. That's just at studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand, and that has a whole bunch of free information if you're not ready to plonk down and buy the course at this point in time. But if you just want to settle in and relax and talk about some GarageBand with me, guess what? We're going to do that right here, right now. So the biggest news in the Apple world, and unless you've been living under a rock, and sometimes I wish I could curl up underneath a nice, comfy, cozy rock, but it's the California streaming. See what they did there? Not California dreaming, not like the mamas and the papas, but California streaming on such an autumn afternoon. I don't know. So it is the September 14th Apple event. We're going to see new iPhone 13s. That's pretty much almost a guarantee. September is the month of iPhone for Apple, and we've been hearing bits and pieces about the iPhone 13 for months, years, a long time it feels like. So we're definitely going to be getting an iPhone 13 announcement. Here's what people are saying that the iPhone 13 is going to be about. The same sizes, so the mini, the regular, the Pro, and the Pro Max. 120 hertz refresh rate is the big kind of, it might be there. So it's going to give that smoother screen and that quicker refresh rate to make it easier to view and make your images and videos look crisp, just like they do on the iPad Pro. So it's going to get a few more updates like that with the Pro features. The camera, the main changes that they're saying, look, I'm sure they'll give us some more megapixels and some lower somethings. I don't know. I haven't kept up with cameras these days. Cameras got good enough in about the iPhone 7. For most people in most applications. I know for some of you, you want all the bells and whistles, but for me, it kind of got good enough. And then the portrait mode. So it's going to be, this is actually pretty cool. It sounds like there's going to be a video portrait mode, meaning, that blurry, that bokeh background that you get in your shots. Well, that's going to be on video as well, which could make it kind of nice for shooting video if you want that nice artistic effect. And as you can see here, my background's only slightly blurry because I just use a webcam because it's easier. New Apple Watches are apparently coming, the version 7 or Series 7. That's going to be slightly bigger and have slightly more things. I don't know. That's not really going to impact GarageBand very much. And AirPods. So a new version of the AirPods is tipped to be coming out. Tip, see what I did there? The tips of those AirPods are likely to be shorter, so they're likely to be a little bit more like the AirPods Pro, because if you've been following along, the original AirPods came out, they then released the AirPods 2, and now the AirPod Pro, which are the ones that I have here that have the smaller, shorter stem. I can't even get them out. Shorter stem, and they have the interchangeable silicone ear tips. I Really like these for listening. I really dislike these for the microphones on them. They're supposed to be good, and in my experience, they're not. Your experience may vary. So if you're excited about new AirPods, that could be a thing. And the one that I think is a little bit of an outsider, but I'd love to see, is an iPad mini. I know that many of you that create in GarageBand do use iPad minis still to this day, and the iPad mini is kind of a nice size. You get something a bit bigger than your iPhone screen, but something that's super portable that you can actually have more control over if you're using GarageBand. So an iPad mini 5, no, what are we up to now? 5? 6? Do your research, Johns. The rumor is it's going to be similar to the iPad Air 4th gen. So if you're not familiar, let's just jump over to apple.com, shall we? And we can show all of the bits and pieces here. So we're looking at something more like, we're already, imagine buying an iPhone 12 right now, like 2 days before the event. Don't buy anything just now. But if we go here and we check out the iPads, you're over at apple.com. So the iPad Air, which is this one here, this is very similar to the Pro. So it's got the nice sharp bezels on the edges. It's got the USB-C connection. It's got the Touch ID sensor. So it's the A14 Bionic chip. So what we're thinking is going to happen is that the iPad Mini is going to be basically like a mini version of this one, of the iPad Air 4th gen, which would be a pretty good thing. It would be a very powerful machine in a very small form factor. So I think that would be cool if we got something like that. Anything in the way of Macs? Probably not. Is the Apple Car that's been rumored coming? Probably not. So I go into these things now with expecting nothing, and then everything I get that might be cool is a bit of a surprise. Now, what if you're not looking to get new products particularly? Is there anything coming in the way of upgrades and updates and software? Nothing really rumored. Obviously, iOS 15 is in the works. That's coming soon. So that's one thing to keep an eye on. Maybe we'll get some further updates. I think they're at master beta release candidate 17 and a half now. I don't know. I don't follow on the whole sort of life cycle thing. I wait until they get it out and then I download it and I install it. So we'll find out what differences that has. From a GarageBand perspective, on the Mac side, I don't think there's going to be much difference here. There's not any major. The one major feature coming to the new version of macOS is the ability to AirPlay directly from your iPhone or iPad to your Mac, which will actually be cool because, as you probably know, I use this little sucker. I use Reflector 4, which does a good job, and it's really, really reliable until it's not. So to have a native ability to play and see video and audio from your iPhone or your iPad right onto your Mac screen, that's going to be super cool. So I'm hanging out for that. Will we get any other updates? So here's my hot take on this. I'm going to throw this out here, and it's going to probably be totally wrong. But every time, and when I say every time, it's a very rare occurrence. But whenever I'm able to provide feedback to anyone within the Apple universe and ecosystem about GarageBand, particularly GarageBand iOS, and you know probably what I'm going to say if you've been around for a while, is we need two things in GarageBand iOS to make it just absolutely the go-to. We need a master volume track and we need the ability to turn off auto normalization. They are the two deal breakers for me in terms of just being able to completely do your end-to-end processing GarageBand iOS. So here's my hot take on this. iOS 15, there'll be a dot upgrade for GarageBand iOS that has just those two tweaks. That gives you a master track, just like in GarageBand Mac, similar to the FX track where you just go into your options and you say show master track, and it just gives you a master track. It's literally there in the background. It's just not used in iOS right now. So I can't imagine it's a super difficult programming thing. So that's my number one thing. And then in those same advanced options, there will be a turn off auto normalization, just like you have in GarageBand Mac. What do you think? Is this likely? Am I dreaming? Do I really think that Apple are listening to what we have to say? I don't know, but we're going to find out. So yeah, that's 100% my hot take there. So you can come back to this video and either laugh at me or go, oh, whoa, Pete was like an absolute, and I don't know any of this, by the way. If it does happen and you're like, oh, see, I told you Pete was in the back pocket of Apple. He's part of there. No. Can promise you not. Can promise you I know nothing. This is pure speculation right here. But we will see, because that would be very, very cool. And as Tom says here, the ability to work seamlessly with Mac. Yeah, we're going to be exploring that. So a bit of a teaser for what we're talking about next, which is Songtember and my Songtember tune. A little bit of a tease there. I'm going to be, once I've got things pretty much down, I'm going to do most of the recording in iOS, but then I'm going to see how we go going over to Mac. and seeing if there's any benefits or what I can do with GarageBand Mac that I can't do in GarageBand iOS, and then see exactly how easy it is to use both systems. Because as you've probably seen through the process, I've used voice memos to capture my original ideas. I've now used GarageBand iOS to record in and do my basic sort of scratch tracks and recordings and mixing. And now I want to see, can we actually complete the trifecta and jump over to the desktop and use GarageBand Mac to do that? I don't know. We will find out. So speaking of other things, Songtember. We are halfway through. Well, here in Australia, it is the 13th. It's Monday the 13th, which is even worse than Friday the 13th. Monday the 13th of September here in Australia. And that means that we're 13 days into 30 days of September. So we are officially well past the third mark, and we're heading towards the halfway mark of Songtember, which is a bit scary, right? It means that we've got some work to do here. So most of the rest of this show, I will be taking you in there and giving you a look at what I've done with my project so far, for those that haven't caught up on the shows last week, and give you a bit of a taste of what we'll be doing this week. I'm also reviewing, I did a video you may have seen on the weekend, which was my mix notes. So I took my phone and I listened to the song. Is anyone else as sick of this song as I am? When you're working on just one song, you do get to that point where you're like, okay, if I hear we're all just a work in progress one more time, but we'll get there. So I went out and I took my phone and I listened to it and I made a bunch of notes, and that's what we'll be reviewing here, because it's important to step away from the door, step away from your studio and your production environment, and listen as a listener would listen, as opposed to listening as you as a creator and a producer listening. You want to just get some space and some distance between the actual creation process and then what an end listener is going to get. So we'll be jumping in and doing that. But let me know if you're here live, how is your Songtember going? Are you getting there? Is it a work in progress like me? And do you think you'll be done by the 30th of September? And remember, there are no rules. The rules of Songtember are, I've had a few questions lately about what are the rules and can I use this and what if I've already done a song and what... There's no rules. The whole point of this is to make sure that we're encouraging and motivating more people to make more music. So if you are a person and you, because of Songtember, you've made more music than you would have otherwise, win. Everybody wins. So yeah, feel free to join in the fun of Songtember. It should be a good time. Yeah, three-eyed likes to listen in the car. Yeah, the car is good. Portable stereos are good. Listen on the speaker of your iPhone or your iPad, on your earbuds, on your headphones, on wherever you can. Listen into a bunch of places because it's going to help you out immensely. All right. So yes, Songtember. And by the way, if you're not familiar with everything Songtember related, you can head on over. The website is studiolivetoday.com/Songtember. So if you want to know a little bit about what's going on there, you can jump over there. You can see how you can follow me. You can join the Create, Record, Release Facebook group, and you can check out all the things there. And of course, when we get to the end of Songtember, you can release. And who do I recommend releasing with? Well, I'm wearing them on my shirt. It's DistroKid. So if you get to the end of Songtember and you want to get your music out there to Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, all the places in the easiest possible way, DistroKid have got you covered. $19.99 per year for the musician plan. You can release an unlimited amount of songs, EPs and albums, and if you use the link down in the description, you'll save yourself 7% off your first year. I know that I've said that a lot, but yeah, I stand by it because I've been using DistroKid for a long time now, nearly 5 years, and they've only been a sponsor of the channel for about a year of that. So yes, I definitely put my heart and soul into releasing music and recommending DistroKid. All right. Yeah, once again, if you do have questions as we go through, we're going to jump into my project in a moment, but you can do that. Just pop the word question. If you're just joining us here live and you have questions, pop the word question in front and I'll be able to jump in and grab those. Otherwise, I'll just assume that you're chatting amongst yourselves and you're talking about the weather and doing whatever else you got going on. All righty. Let's continue on here. Look at that. Thomas Christ, 2 songs completely done. Making us all look bad. Exactly right. Yes, that was my next question. I'm a clairvoyant, Tom. Exactly. Yeah. So $20 a year for DistroKid. That's for the musician plan. The musician plus plan is $35.99 a year. That gives you a second artist name and a few other features. There's a heap of videos. If you're interested in DistroKid, head over to the DistroKid FAQ, which is at studiolivetoday.com/DistroKid. I make it easy. Basically, if you've ever got anything that you're trying to look up, just put studiolivetoday.com/ and then something. If it's GarageBand, put GarageBand. If it's DistroKid, put DistroKid. I've got all those vanity pages that go to the back of other things. Pete, have you ever heard of Mellow Sound? No, I haven't. So that's a quick question to answer. No, sorry, I don't. Is that a band? Is that a sound? Is that a pack? Is that a DAW? I don't know. All right, let's jive on in and check out my project here. So this is my song. Now, we'll go through really quickly in terms of what we've done so far, just as a review, because I know many of you have already been through all this and know where we've got here. So we started off here with a scratch drummer and scratch guitar. So I got all my sections here. We got all ready to go and record. I then changed the drums to a drummer here. I've then recorded in my guitar, my vocals, and my bass. We've determined a few keyboard tracks here for some pads and some little synth parts that have gone through there. And then we got a whole mess of backing vocals. And I honestly think that the backing vocals in this track are the thing I'm probably most proud of. I like the one thing I'm not sick of is in this final chorus, some of these harmonies, I think they sound really nice. So look, just to test our audio, let's just play this little bit of this song because this will give you a representation of what it's all about here.
We're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Yes, we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. And what we know, we all have time and room to grow. That we're all just.
So that's what we've got. That's what we've got here at the moment, and that's sort of the climax. So the way this song works is very old school. It's very much starting quiet, so starting with just the guitar and vocal in the first sort of chorus part here.
We're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out.
And then building through, bringing in the drums and bass, bringing in some additional pads and synths, bringing in the additional backing vocals until you get to the final chorus. So it's very much a ramp up, an old school ramp up that we're going with. So then there's a couple of things that we'll be doing this week. Number one is in this video here, I'll be taking a look at some of the changes I suggested to myself while I was out walking around. Our friend Bubba also emailed through with some suggestions for this song, some mix notes for me as well. So I'll be looking at a few of those. We've then got some drums because the drums here are okay, but I only spent maybe 30 minutes programming these in, and they're fine. They're good for recording along to. However, Jade Star has gone away, and in her show today, she showed how she recorded some drums for this. I've downloaded that project. We'll bring those on in here in just a moment. We've also got a couple of other exciting things that we're doing here. Number one is that these final vocals here, once I make the final decision, which we'll talk about in a moment, these gang vocals here at the end, I'm going to ask if anyone wants to submit their own. Yes, I know, it's going to be fun, isn't it? So what I'll do with that is I'll put a project up with just sort of a stereo mix down of the project, and then regardless of whether you're on GarageBand Mac or GarageBand iOS or GarageBand whatever, all you need to do is record in as a WAV file, save that wave, send it to me, and then I'll throw those in here and we'll try and create a big final chorus gang vocal. And that's where using GarageBand Mac may come in super handy, because we won't run into problems with track numbers, because already when Jade was playing around before with the drums, she was running into some track limitations here, because you do only have 32 tracks here in GarageBand iOS to play with. So that is a limitation. So that's an explanation of where we're at and where we're going here. So this week will be all about recording in the final stuff, mixing it all together, and then by the end of this week, so we're here on Monday morning and not Sunday afternoon for many of you, but by the end of this week, we will have our recording and our mixing done. That way we can master and then release, and then look at things like album artwork and promotion of songs and all that sort of juicy goodness that we'll get to after that. All right, let's answer a few questions, and then we'll jump back in and continue on with looking at this. Yeah, good clarification there. It is 7% off the first year on any DistroKid plan. So it'll be, $18 the first year, and then $20 each subsequent year after that. How has that Mac M1 changed your life? Well, it's changed my life significantly, because it's all I use now for a desktop. And despite the fact that it crashed at the end of my happy hour show yesterday, completely unexpectedly, and I didn't even know why, the reliability compared to the PC has been astoundingly good. And I'm only running the very entry-level Mac Mini M1 with 8 gig of RAM, and I'm pushing it to the absolute limit. So when I finally, I'm basically at the moment on the fence because I do need a Mac with more space because I've only got 256 gig of hard drive space and the 8 gigabytes of RAM. So I'm thinking I either go to like a 1 terabyte with 16 and just replace my Mac Mini, or more likely I'll wait to see what comes next because I've got a feeling that there's going to be a Mac M1X Mini or M2 Mini that's going to come out that could be upgradable up to like the 32 gig of RAM or even 64 and make it more expandable. So for more of the pro setup. So at the moment it's working great, but yeah, I'm just on the fence now as to whether I tweak this one and get a better Mac Mini and trade this one in, or whether I wait to see what's next. I'll probably wait because it's working pretty well for now. Question, can I still submit backup vocals? Yeah, more on that soon. That's what I was just talking about now. Did you know that there is a bug with the song sections feature? I didn't know that there was a bug with the song section feature. You'll have to let me know what that bug is because I haven't noticed one. So yeah, let us know and we'll go there. Do you have any videos on how to master a song once you have all the parts that you want done? Yep. So if you search Pete Johns and mastering, then there's a heap of videos. You can either master directly in GarageBand, you can master using an external app like Final Touch or Grand Finale. Yeah, I've got I think there's a whole playlist. There's about 10 or 12 videos all about mastering your GarageBand songs here in GarageBand. No more Soul. My iPad Pro 2 went from 100 to 6 while recording a song yesterday. In the same span of time, it would normally maybe 50%. Just getting older, is that a bug? I don't think it's a bug. I think it's the fact that the battery may be getting long in the tooth, because I had similar problems and have continually with my iPad Air 2. Its battery, because it's something like 8 years old now, its battery has degraded to the point where I get maybe an hour's worth of good use out of it. So I pretty much need to use it plugged in 24/7 when I'm recording. Otherwise, yeah, it just runs out. Yes, as Jay says, it means your battery is dying. Yeah, so talk to Apple, because sometimes they'll actually do that. Yeah, doing some basic things like not running background applications, not making sure you got plenty of free space in there, so it's not having to jump around and swap around on a swap file a lot. That's a couple of things that you can do to help out. Alrighty, every time I click add, it doesn't. You may be at the section limit. That could be a problem, Andrew. So there is a limit to the number of sections you can have, which I think is something like 30. I can't remember. I think you only get down to like Z. Maybe it's 26. Maybe it's the number of letters that there are. So yeah, eventually this will get grayed out and you won't be able to add any more sections. So I don't know if it's something to do with that, but ordinarily you should just be able to hit add and it'll add your next section just like it did there, which we don't need. So we will remove that now. All right, let's crack in, shall we? So thank you for your questions. If you do have any other questions, then you can about GarageBand, then you definitely can throw those in the chat, and we will attempt to answer those. Because remember, this is a GarageBand show, all GarageBand, all the time. Let's jump in here. So what I did in my last video, you may have seen, and in fact, I'll move this one over here so we can bring in my notes. So we'll move that over to there. Ooh, there's my logo behind there. We'll move that to there, and I'm going to grab my notes that I made. So if you missed the last video, don't stress, because I'm going to show you everything that I went through in this one. I just need to find my songwriting folder here in OneNote so that we can jump into this one. Here it is. So we'll bring this on over. So these are my notes, my mixed notes, and all of my other notes for work in progress. Hello, Russ. Hope you're doing well. So we put together the song structure, first of all. We've then got all the sections there. So A through to H that we had there. By the way, I fixed the sections. You might have noticed early on that, speaking of song sections, I had this problem where it went A, B, C, D, E, G, H, I, or something like that. I've changed this around a little bit so it actually goes the right way. I've now since messed it up because I've put this 1 bar break in there, I to H, but it was annoying me that the sections were the wrong way around. But then, like I say, I had to put that one back in. But if you're wondering about that, you're like, didn't you make that the wrong order because you deleted one? Yeah, I kind of did. I've got my chord progression here, which is pretty standard and hasn't changed much. It's a very simple song. There's literally 4 chords. No, 5 chords. So it's A minor, E, F, G, and then the variation on that, which is A minor, E, F, D minor, and that's it. That's it the whole way through. And it just goes to show, hopefully, that you can create an effective song without doing 17 different jazz chords. And then we've got some parking lot ideas here, which originally we wanted a reggae feel in the verses. We've kind of lost that, unfortunately. Sometimes you have ideas about a song and then over time they kind of go away. So, yeah. Dan Eckberg says, stop being OCD, out of order letters are better, right? Rock and roll. Rock and roll was never in order. We then got our lyrics. So these are all of the lyrics that we've written, which I'm still, they've grown on me to the point where I haven't really bothered going, oh, I should change some of these. I've decided to just leave it and let it be. Let it be. So this is what we worked on while I was out and about. So if you missed the video, what I did, we'll embiggen these so that we can read them as best, because I know many of you watch on like an iPhone or an iPad screen, so you want to be able to see what's going on here. So these are the listening notes that I had while I was walking around. Number one is that the vocals are too hard. We'll do these one by one and then I'll play them so that you can see and hear what I'm actually talking about. So I walked around, I'm listening, I'm replaying it over and over again. And the one thing I really felt is that the vocals here, because I recorded them using the iRig Pro Duo, and you can see there that even just looking at the waveform there, that even though it wasn't peaking, it's too lumpy. And in a digital environment, it is better to record at a lower volume than to record at a high volume and have it too harsh. So if we listen, this section in particular here, just take a listen to how crispy and over crispy some of these sound.
Oh, just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Yes, we're all.
And now this was with a dynamic mic too, so I can't even blame the condenser mic that's usually the problem for this sort of stuff. Now there's some fixes here. Of course, I could come in here, I could go to my visual EQ, and I could find some of those harsher frequencies and turn them down. So that's sort of one approach.
Oh, just a work in progress.
See, there it is.
Nobody's got it figured out. We all have doubt.
But the thing is, there's no fix for the crispiness that you're getting at the top end. EQ is going to do a little bit, but it's not really going to solve for it. So the better option is to go back and re-record. And I was planning to re-record. Like when I do scratch vocals, and I recommend you do the same, still try and record them as if they're going to be your end vocals, because this may even just become our double. This is actually a great candidate for becoming our vocal double, because you can turn down the volume of the vocal double. I'll probably EQ it a bit and change the effects on it, and then I can just re-record the original vocal, and then instead of recording a second vocal double, this can do double duty as that. So that's the option here. In fact, I'm going to put that in my notes because that's such a good idea that I'm going to add to it. I'm just going to put in here, use original as vocal double. Because again, we want things to be as good as they can, but a double in the choruses just needs to sit underneath and do its thing. Now, my string pad, I came and went on this string pad, and I'm just not sold on it. So maybe you can help me with this here now. So we added this in the last video, these Hollywood strings. And I do like the Hollywood strings a lot, and on their own, they kind of sound good if you listen to these. But they have that kind of slow attack. Even though I've got the attack up at the fastest it can be, they kind of don't really sit in the pocket when you play it with the original sound. Take a listen.
Nobody's knowing all they can.
So I'm thinking that maybe we need a different instrument for this one. So let's just do some quick experimentation here. To change instruments, all we need to do is go into the instrument. Now here on iPad, we tap in the middle of the screen. If you're using an iPhone, you need to tap in the top left and go to your drop down, but we can just change this around. But before we do that, Pete's going to take his own advice here. We need to duplicate. Tap and hold. We need to duplicate this. Why? Because we're about to make some major changes, and we want to go from version 9 to version 10. So we're going to leave version 9 alone. We know that that's exactly what it was before we did our mix notes. We can now jump in to version 10. And now we can safely change whatever we want here. So the sort of thing that I'm thinking here is instead of the strings there, is just to go with like more of your either an organ or probably just the electric piano maybe in for that one. So if we just try this, it's so hard. We've got so many keyboards in here. It's hard to actually find just the standard ones. What was it called? Electric piano, wasn't it? There it is. All right. So let's just listen to this part again, but with the electric piano on this one instead of the C strings. Take a listen. right? Bring it back in the mix.
You might be set up, or you might get fed up. Maybe you just need a helping hand, because we're all just a work.
What do you reckon? I don't know. I think it's better. I don't know if this needs strings. I think strings make it sound a little bit too, I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means. But yeah, I kind of like that sound. And yeah, as Peter says, I'll turn it up a little. Yeah, I think we need to balance these sort of things out so you can actually hear it, but you don't want to. It doesn't want to be overbearing, but you do want to be able to hear it. So there you go. That's an experiment that we've done there. I'm going to leave it at that for now. We'll play around with that later in the week. Vocals double in the chorus. Well, yeah, we've already kind of covered off on that. So, in fact, what we'll do is let's in-redden these as we go through, so we know what we've covered. So, yeah, definitely need a vocal double in the chorus. So, what does that mean? Well, that means that when we're doing our all just a work in progress stuff here, that we're going to have two versions of the vocal. So, when we play this here,
All just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out.
now we've only got one take of this, so I can't even bring anything in and show you what that might sound like with another second vocal. Because remember, here's a trap. So a lot of folks when they start doing this, they go, I want to double this vocal. So let's just duplicate this track and we'll just copy this vocal, and then we'll grab this and we'll copy it and we'll paste it down, and then we've got a doubled vocal, right? Let's do a quick experiment here and show what actually happens when you do that. Now we've copied that. Now remember, when you copy and paste, you need to line your playhead up exactly at the start of the other section. Otherwise, it'll be completely out of sync. So we'll paste it in there. Boom. Now, what some people do with things like this is they'll be like, okay, well, so let's firstly just show what happens when we just do this. Well, guess what? It's not a doubled vocal. It's just doubly loud. Take a listen.
We're all just a work in progress.
And then people go, but what if I put one on the left and one on the right? Won't that give me a cool stereo effect? Well, let's have a look at that, shall we? One on the left, one on the right. And where does it sit when we do that?
Nobody's got it figured out. Yes, we're all
Right in the middle. Because you just, remember, your track panning is just a volume dial for your left and your right channels. So if you put one on the left and one on the right, they go right down the middle. The other thing that a lot of people do with a vocal double is to come in here and go, what we'll do is we'll actually just delay the second one slightly, and that will create kind of like a thicker sound. Now, this does work okay. I don't recommend it. I don't think it's a great method, but I'll just show you how it works in case you're keen. So we're going to zoom all the way in. By the way, see up the top here, when you zoom all the way in, when you do that last little zoom, this snap to grid off comes on. And then when we grab this, we can move it a very small amount. So we can just move it a couple of milliseconds. We can just nudge it to there. Now, if we listen to these together,
because we're all just a work in progress.
You do get that kind of sound. You do get that thicker kind of sound. So if I did want that, say here in the first chorus, I could do that, and then it would sound like this.
We're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out.
But can you hear how it just doesn't quite sound right? It's got more of that kind of just delay, echoey sound. As opposed to sounding nice and thick and warm, it actually makes it sound more artificial. So I highly recommend not just duplicating out a vocal. Sing it again. I know, it's going to take you more time, but sing it again, because the small variations in your phrasing, your pitching, your volume, that is what's going to create a good vocal double. So resist the urge to copy and paste and try and use that for your vocal double. Just go in and re-record it again, and then you've got two versions of the same vocal, and then they'll sound beautiful together. Just sit one underneath the other one, and it'll thicken that sucker up. And the added benefit there is if you miss some notes, which I'm likely to do, having two notes kind of levels it out, right? It balances it somewhere in between. So you tend to find it's not quite as bad when you do that. There you go. I'll just see if we've got any other comments or other things. Yeah, you can detune or slightly out of time. You can exactly do that, or sing it again. Yeah. So yeah, and that's the thing. You can. I've did a whole video about vocal thickening trick that you can use, where you can do all of those things. You basically detune it, and then you put one on the left detuned with slight delay, and then you put one on the right detuned with a slight delay. You can do all these things. Or you can just sing it 2, 3, 4 times, and it kind of does the same thing. So keep that in mind when you're doing all these things. We'll just see if we have any comments. No, we have someone who just like to come in. People aren't even Really weird. People are coming in now, and instead of actually writing anything derogatory, they're just putting random letters now. And it's like, do you just want to see yourself writing letters on the screen? It's so weird. Question: do you use the default Notes app, or is OneNote the main app you use? Yeah, I mentioned this in the video on the weekend. I use OneNote not because I'm in love with OneNote, but because I used it in my corporate world. And I just have everything in there now. And it's one of those things that I know that there's better options, but the effort it would take me to move everything from that platform to another platform doesn't seem worth it. Does that make sense? So rather than go through all of that, I'm just sticking with OneNote, because as you can see down the side here, I have a whole lot of notes in here. So everything I do is stored in OneNote. I better go back up my OneNote file, actually. It's several gigabytes, because it's got absolutely everything that I do is all in OneNote. It just means that everything's everywhere where I go. All right, next notes. So drums. Like the feel of the ghost notes and the little roll in the chorus. So I just wanted to remind myself that even when we go and replace these drums, there's some parts of these Darcy drums that I do really like. So if we listen to the chorus here, we've got... So you can hear there that the good thing about drummer is that it can put in some of those ghost notes, and it can put in some of those rolls that actually make it sound more realistic. So that was a reminder of myself that even though when I program drums, or more correctly, when I get Jade's drums that she's played and put them in this track, I do need to pay attention to that, because I do like that sound, that almost military kind of drum roll sound that we have through that. It almost makes it a bit like a march. Just a work in progress. So I wanted to keep something like that in there. So that's cool. We can keep that note there so that we know that that's what we're going to do. So now my bass part here, I'm reasonably happy with where the bass is at the moment. But what I wanted to do is make sure that there is no bass up until the instruments kick in here. So even though I've got it here, what you'll notice is that when we did this last time, if we come in here, tap it, tap again, go to settings, we've turned this all the way down. Now I'm 100% convinced that I don't want bass in this intro. This intro is going to be very stripped down, guitar and vocal, and then we're going to come in with all of our instruments here. So I'm getting rid of that there. The bass line itself, reasonably comfortable with. So and the only thing that I've said here is that I want a roll down. So at the start here, I want it to go doo 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 like that. So that's what I've got in this note here to say when we've got that start bit, just to bridge that, just to have a little bit of a drop before it goes into that one beat, with the bass just sliding with a doo doo, just to slide down, just to give it some texture in there. I think that might sound cool. Now the piano. And this is related. So we'll jump over here, because Bubba's got some ideas here too about some sort of one or two licks after your vocal phrases and some slowly bending guitar lines over the top. So yeah, this is the sort of thing that I'm going to play around with this week. So I won't go into detail here, but this particular, the keys that we have in the chorus, the piano down here, whoop, wrong button. The piano we have down here. So I've got too many mouses and too many things going on here. I kind of like the idea. So I grab my guitar. And we just workshop this real quick, of it being this. Or even being like we'll just play that again. Even doing for the second half perhaps, doing a harmony of that. Just for a little bit more texture and a little bit more variety there. And that may not be in both verses. That's the thing. Maybe that'll only be the second, both choruses. Maybe that'll just be the second time around. But that's something that we'll be attempting when we get back into the recording phase. So we'll note that one down that we've looked at it. Pads, need another pad in the second verse. So if we come down here to the second verse of this track, here's where we've got this one. So we've now got, it's not the Hollywood strings anymore, even though it says that. This one's actually our electric piano pad. And we've already got like the, and it might actually sound better now that it's the electric piano. And what I was actually thinking while I was out and about, so we'll add another instrument here just to remind myself of this, is even maybe like an organ. And I don't know, I love rock organs in these sort of songs. So if we come in here and we take a look at this one here, and instead of electric piano, we come on down, not the heavy metal organ, but where is it, the rock organ. Rock and roll, or maybe even the soul organ. Let's try the soul organ. So. Maybe even just doing like a straight drop down there with something like the soul organ. We can change the sound again, but let's just quickly workshop what I think I'm thinking about here, just so that I've got something to come back to. And as Andrew's saying, you could use an electric guitar with that little lead. It could sound nice. Yeah, I think I do want some. I'm on the fences. Does this have electric guitar or does this not? I don't know. We'll find out. So let's just come in here to this one and see if this is going to work. So just doing a... like a quick rundown like that. Let's
Figured out when everything just feels so hard. You need to strive and you go far. It's hard to grow up, but if you show up, you'll shine and they'll see what you are. Because we're all just...
So again, just experimenting there, and I couldn't remember halfway through what I played in the original one. So the first ones here didn't sound quite right because I don't think it'll work in with the original. But let's just take a listen to the pads together. Okay, not actually bad. And then the variation. I'm not hating that. Let's bring it back into the mix. The organ might not be the right instrument, but I just thought that there needed to be an extra pad there.
When everything just feels so hard, you need to strive and you go far.
And maybe this even becomes something a little softer. So maybe we even experiment with this being one of like the wind instruments or something, go completely out on a limb. Because sometimes different things. What about something like the French horn? Is this going to be just ridiculous? Let's find out.
It's hard to grow up, but if you show up, you...
Maybe not that. Maybe even like a flute or an oboe or something. I always like the oboe instrument. I use the oboe here in GarageBand quite a lot because I think it sounds kind of cool. Let's grab... Where are you? Where are you, oboe? You probably should be under O, shouldn't you? Oh, no, you're not. Not in alphabetical order, Pete. Of course it's not. Because of course it's not. Let's take a listen to this. Oh, okay, maybe not. Didn't like that, did it? Clarinet? That's not terrible.
You'll shine and they'll see what you are. Because we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's...
Maybe. There you go. We'll leave it there for now, and we'll return to that and see how we go. Song gives me an Audio Slave vibe. Yeah, probably not as heavy as I would have thought Audio Slave, but yeah, definitely in the ballpark, isn't it? Let's move to our next note, shall we? So that's that one. Maybe a new pad. Let's take a look at this one. Where are we for time? Yeah, we're going to go over time on this one. I can assure you of that. This road crossing sound, which I just don't even know about anymore, but I put this in for fun because I kind of wanted to. I wanted to just put something a little bit unique and interesting in here. So let's take a listen. It's this one. It's just here in this last little bit, but between the phrases. And I don't think it needs to stay there. I don't know. But what I was saying here is maybe it needs to be double speed. Maybe it just needs to be bup, 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 like that. So let's just experiment with this. We don't need all that sound around it. So what we could do is just copy this out and put it in here a few extra times. So we'll copy it. It's going to be a bit tricky to line this up. So we'll have to do a little bit of trial and error here to get it right in the spot on the grid that we want it. And even then, it's probably not going to be quite right. But let's see what this does just with my absolute guess. No, duh, duh, duh. So, okay, so I've put that one in between that shouldn't be there. It should be duh, 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 more like that. What about this? I don't know. I'm going to leave it there for now, but it's probably just going to go. I just wanted to put some found sound in here somewhere, and that's the place that I thought it. Or maybe this just becomes a little background of the second verse. Maybe it just goes bop, 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 like that. What about slightly distorted electric guitar? Yeah, I think that could work well. More like a lead sound. The little bit of percussive attack on the organ sounded good to me. Yeah, I think you're right, Bubba. Let's just bring this back to the organ, because I think it did sound better on that organ. And maybe instead of the soul organ, we'll go to that original rock organ that we were thinking about. I'm sure it's just called the rock organ, isn't it? Oh, there's a big car going past. No, I'm making it up, am I? There is no rock organ? I thought it was called a rock organ. You can probably see it there, and I can't. We'll go back to the soul organ, because, yeah, I did like the little bit of percussive sound and the little distortion that we had with that. I think that maybe works in well. Maybe Tenacious D when it comes to the instrument. You need 3, not 4, so maybe bop, bop, bop. Yeah, maybe not the first one or not the last one. We'll experiment. We'll play around with that one. Let's go back to our list of things. So we'll play with that. Now, some of these things are just going to be a product of actually doing the next phase, which is tighten up the end of the quiet verse and re-record with the drums. So the end of the quiet verse here was really messy and like off the grid. So this bit here that we played. You're not alone. So hear how the guitar just loses, like that really needs to be tight, jung, 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 like that. And Tom's got a good idea here that, yeah, some crunchy power chords. So that could be maybe not even power chords, but maybe single notes or just two note power chords, as Bubba suggests in a moment. So sort of go over with some. We'll experiment with that. A lot of experimenting to do. Hopefully we're not going to overdo it and go too far with this. All right, we want to tighten up the end of the quiet verse. Definitely need guitar and vocals to be more in the pocket. Yes, which we definitely have discovered throughout. So I need to, once I've got the drums in and we're recording the things, I need to fix that up. The final chorus, I'm still on the fence with the complete phrase on the backing vocals. All right, we need to make a call here and then just move on with our lives, because these backing vocals at the end here, I'm still not sure about. So please let me know which way we need to go, because I'm conscious that we just need to decide. So these gang vocals that we have here at the end, these are the ones I'm going to ask you to sing, which is this. We're all just a work in progress. But then in the end section here, I thought that sounded too thin, like there wasn't enough going on, and I've got this bit here. We're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. We're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. So that's the question. Do we have the full phrase in this second part, or just we're all just a work in progress with these gang vocals? Take a listen to how this finishes, and then let me know what you think. Figured out. So I kind of like that. The original version that we had here seemed to have a little bit too much space. So let's just come in here and silence these. So this is option number 2, which I'm less inclined to go with now. I kind of like the full version, but let me know on this one. Just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Nobody's got it figured out. No. Don't you think it just sounds a little bit vacant and empty? There's too much white space in there for a final chorus. It kind of just sits, and it needs to continue to be fuller. We'll take a listen to the last couple. Nobody's got it figured out. Nobody's got it figured out. Nobody's got it figured out. So yeah, so I think the full phrase, if anyone would like to go into bat for the half phrase or not having the full phrase there at the end, let me know. Speak now or forever hold your peace, because I think we're going with the full phrase in here. I don't know. So yeah, but continue to comment, because I know there's usually about a 30-second delay here. So unless everyone says half phrase, half phrase, half phrase, and I get lots of people saying it should definitely be that. But to me, it just sounds too empty. So I think definitely half phrase for the first half of the final chorus, but then for this last bit where I change up the lead vocal, we should change up these gang vocals. So it means that when we record gang vocals, what I'll be asking you to do is to record however many bars that is. So recording it 8 times. So 4 times with We're All Just a Work in Progress, and then 4 times with We're All Just a Work in Progress, Nobody's Got It Figured Out. So there you go. So we'll come to our final decision in the next 24 hours on that one. The chorus vocals. So I need to just tweak these, and this is something we'll check in here, because one of the phrases doesn't sound right, which it says nobody's, where is it? I think it's this one.
We're all just a work in progress, because we're all just a work.
So there's one where it says that we're all just a work in progress, which doesn't make any sense. So basically, where's my lyrics? We'll come back up to the top here. Nobody's got maybe just because we're all just a work in progress. I think it's written as because or cause, but I think sometimes I say that we're all just a work in progress, and that doesn't make any sense. So when I re-record the vocals, I just need to make sure that it's always because and it's never that. I think that was just me fiddling about and trying a few things with the vocal. We always need to go with cause or because, depending how much room and space there is in there. Now, this is an interesting one, and I'm going to experiment with this here right now, and that is to have a second acoustic guitar, but capoed up and playing a different progression. So this is I can't remember who I saw this to use this technique, but it works really well for layering and for getting a more full sound. So where did I say, did I want this in the chorus or the chorus vox? No. Playing the progression capoed up. So maybe in the second verse, this is where we need to have something like this. We'll come down here to the second verse and play.
When everything just feels so hard, you need to strive and you.
Just got to quickly do my conversion. So something like that. Now, I'm not going to record it in here, but I'll just put my mic down here so you can sort of hear what I'm thinking with this one. So it'll be an E minor here shape instead. So we'll just come in here.
Work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. When everything just feels so hard, you need to strive and you'll go far.
I forgot what the progression was. Let's get just the acoustic guitar in there and see if we can play along with that. All right, Bubba's suggesting capo the 7th and start with the D minor. I kind of like that. So I think we could incorporate like a. Yeah, I'm thinking something like that. I'll play around with that so that you don't have to sit here and see me noodle, or you'll probably do it on a live video later in the week. But yeah, so I think I'll make a note there that we'll go something like 5th fret with the C, or I think 7th fret is better. So I'm going to put that in here. 7th fret, start on the D minor. Just to give it like a little bit more. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't actually match. So I do need to change around the boop, boop to actually be something that I could use, because they're not the right pitch. They'll probably go, in all honesty. I don't think that makes sense. And finally, some high strings during the quiet voice And maybe instead of string, maybe we use this organ again. Hang on, we'll move that out of the way. Move the car, Pete. Where are we? Where do we so this organ sound here. So maybe when we go into our quiet voice, because it comes out of here.
You shine and they'll see what
So that's into the chorus, and then after the chorus. So I've got an idea of sort of a sound in my head that's like a do 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 do. Maybe the organ won't be the right instrument for this, but let's just play it and see.
the shame and pain you feel inside. Perfectionist is why you hide. Trust in yourself, and you will see you're not alone.
Don't you think so? It's just like a. Maybe it needs to go up a I don't know. Let's just play this back again.
Figured out the shame and pain you feel.
Or maybe even just the second half. So we leave it like that.
Is why you hide. Trust in yourself, and you will see you're not alone. Because we're all
Something like that. We'll record it in and we'll see if it's we can change it around as we continue on.
perfectionist is why you hide. Trust in yourself, and you will see you're not alone. Because we're all just the way.
Mark's saying try arpeggios. Yeah, arpeggios may work well there as well. Maybe that's more experimenting to do. We'll leave it in there so that when we come back to this, we've got something to play with. I don't know that the organ works in there though.
Is why you hide. Trust in yourself, and you will see you're not alone.
Yeah. Go upscale maybe. Yeah, maybe. All right. We're gonna continue on. I just wanted to show you these concepts and sort of how you then come back and think about things once you've done these here. We've then got some ideas here from Bubba, so I'll pop these up here. I'm running way low on time on this, so and I want to bring in these drums from Jade before we finish off the show here. So Bubba's got some great points here. Yeah, work the perfect fourth, which is actually a fifth. Bubba then commented and corrected that. He's like, no, actually a fifth. One or two licks after your vocal phrases. I like the idea of that. So I'll just play this and I'll let you know. So like here in the verse.
No,
Nope, that's the chorus.
Sort
Sort of like it.
Not everything will go to plan. You might be set up, or you might get fed up. Maybe just need a helping hand. Because we're all just a work in progress.
So what I probably need to do is sit down with like an electric guitar and noodle my way through that. And some long, slow bending guitar notes over the top. Probably doing something like that. So that's something we can play around with. The last chord could stand to go major. Yeah, I don't know. No one's got it figured out. Yeah, so that G major versus the D minor. Yeah, I kind of play around with that. So we'll reconsider that as we do our final recording. Contrary motion counterpoint, the A minor scale rising against your progression sounds great to me anyway. Yeah, so I have to learn my scales, Bubba, to play that. If you think your texture sounds too fat, to change up the amount of strumming for a sparser 2 or 3 note chord instead. Yeah, and that's the other thing that it is very fat. So the whole So it could be that. So yeah, yeah. So there's ideas. There's things here. There's things that we can do. And there's things that we'll play around with. All right. So we'll save out of that one. So that's our version 10. Now, we're over time here. There will be no rant today. There will be no plugins or apps because it's Songtember. I wanted to talk about the Apple event, but I wanted to talk about Songtember because this is what I'm doing. It's a GarageBand show, and this is what I'm doing in GarageBand. So what I'm going to do here, we've got this version 10 here. I'm actually going to, here's one I prepared earlier. I've downloaded to my Files app the version that Jade has provided some drums for. And if you missed Jade's show, you can go back and check it out. Jade, if you're here, let folks know. Drop a link to today's show. But just go to Jade Starr's channel and you'll see what she actually did with these drums. Now, she's up to version 12 here. So we'll download this. I've just downloaded it. She sent me a Google Drive link. The key to downloading is do it in Safari. If you do it in Safari, it pops it straight in your downloads folder. If you try and do it from Chrome or you try and do it from other third-party apps, it'll put them somewhere and you often won't know where they go. So come in here and here's the zip file. So we can just tap it to unzip it. And here is the project. Look at all those tasty looking drums. So we're just going to open it straight up here in the downloads project file. I've only heard a little bit of Jade doing this on the show this morning. I've never actually even listened to these drums, but we're going to take a listen now. And then later in the week. So do stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure that you're ready to go because tomorrow we'll be back with more live playing around in this project. We'll be recording some more things. We'll be playing with the drums. We'll be doing all sorts of cool things because we've only got, again, 5 days. 5 days. I want to get this done. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. By next weekend, by the time you're listening to Your Music Live, we should have pretty much a mixed version of this song. Maybe I could be my own toilet break in YML next week. We'll see. Jade says I'm actually working on it all right now and changed a bunch. So there you go. So this may be a work in progress of the work in progress. We'll find out. So let's take a quick listen to these. So here are the drums, and these are all the different takes. Now, what Jade did is she recorded them all together and then split them out. And if you've never done that before, it's a very effective way to get a cool drum sound. So if we come in here to, for instance, the verse that we have. Right? How much better is that than poor old Darcy doing her thing? And the cool thing is you can use different kits. You can have multiple crash cymbals. You can do a lot of cool things in here when you split out your drums. So Jay's recorded these on her electric drum kit, and then she split some of those out. So you've got the option to use these. Let's see how this all sounds together with the actual song, hey?
We're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Yes, we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Nobody's knowing all they can. Not everything will go to plan.
See, how much does that glue it together? And the thing is, we can obviously come and play around with this. We can use the cool Gary Hubs tricks here on like the snares and the kick drums by adding some distortion and things. None of these have any master effects. So if you think, oh, those drums are sounding a bit dry, it's because the master effects that we have on all the other tracks, we don't have on here. So if we just simply added a little echo and reverb here, the same, this will basically give it a bit of a room sound and make it sound like it's in the room with the rest of the instruments. So we'll add all these in here. Probably didn't need it on the kick though, did I? I couldn't see which one because we haven't named them yet. We would obviously go in here and name each different kit piece so we know which one is which. But if we wanted to just get a bit of a sound of what we might sound like, bringing this in with the rest of our track, let's just come in here to this D section here and take a listen.
All just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. In progress. Nobody's got it figured out. We all have doubt and things to know and learn about that we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. When everything just feels so.
And there you go. How cool is that? So what we could do And what I'll do I have this many tracks? Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do I have 7 tracks in my version of the project at the moment? Not sure. What I'm going to do, we'll duplicate again. We'll duplicate to create my version 11 here. Because what you can actually do, here in GarageBand, you can copy between projects. They had this for a while, and then they removed it, and then they brought it back. It was all a bit weird. But what we can do, so we know this comes from B, from section B. So we'll grab and do all of these tracks. We'll cover everything like this. And we'll tap on it, and we'll tap again, and we'll go copy. And then we'll come over, we'll close out of Jade's project, we'll come back over to my project, GarageBand for iOS, Songtember, version 11, and we'll see if we can paste these in. Am I going to have enough tracks? We might have to delete some of this other crap out of here. We'll do that. We'll get rid of this the old bass that we had here. This doesn't have anything in it, so that can go. Let's just see if we've got enough tracks here. Paste. But why didn't it work? Because we weren't on a drum track to begin with, so it wouldn't work. Drums, acoustic, and it is, which kit was it again? Not the Sunset, it's the Bluebird. Bluebirds in the sunshine sky. Something like that. B, and tap, and paste. Okay. It didn't like it. I haven't done this in a while. Do we have to create all the drum tracks first? Maybe we do. Maybe you need to have the same bass where it goes. We'll need all these eventually anyway, so let's just see if we can add all these in. I think we had 7 tracks for the 7 different kit pieces. There's 5. There's 6. Are we going to hit the limit? There's 7. We're good. All right, so we'll close out of there version 11. And this is why version control is so important, that you can mess things up really badly if you try to do this in your different ones. So we've got all these tracks again. We'll once again try and grab them all like that and copy them. They should all copy. And then drum roll, please. We'll come back over to my iCloud Drive, GarageBand iOS, Songtember, work in progress. And if we come here to B, is this going to work now? Drum roll, please. Boom! It did. All right. But why did it do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Why did we get... What's missing? All right, we'll have to, we'll spend a bit of time doing this because I think I've picked up some tracks that didn't need to be there.
We're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Yes, we're all just a work in progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Nobody's knowing all they can.
And now obviously these are all at this same level here, so that's not going to be cool. What'll probably be easier is once Jade's can finish tweaking these drums is for me to do the reverse, to actually grab my project and bring my tracks over into a drum only track project, because that could be a simpler way to go. We'll experiment, we'll play around with this, but I'm pretty happy with how things are tracking along here, and hopefully as you follow along as well, you are learning a few things here about GarageBand, about how we can, how you can tweak and how you can enhance your sounds here in GarageBand, and a little bit about the songwriting process too, because my way is not correct. There's no right and wrong when it comes to creativity. You don't create songs the right way or the wrong way. You basically just learn everything. Just listen to what other people say. You'll take on some of what they say, and others you'll say, no, that's not for me. I'm going to do it a different way. So that's it. That's what we're doing. So that's where we're at with this one. We're going to finish off there. I know this was a bit of a different. The last 2 GarageBand Weeklies have been a bit different, but hopefully you're enjoying this more hands-on practical side of things. Once excuse me, once Songtember is over, we will return to more of the usual format if you enjoy that, which is our looking at apps and looking at tips and looking at other things. But for today, I wanted to talk about the Apple announcement, and I wanted to go into that so you can see where we're up to with this project. Join me the rest of the week, because we will be coming back and doing some more on this. We're going to be recording more guitars and vocals in there. We'll grab the electric guitar and see if some of those licks are going to work in there. Basically, we're going to throw everything at the wall, see what sticks. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We take it away. We go back to the drawing board. So don't be afraid to experiment. Jade showed in her drum video today, if you put more in, it's easier to strip out than it is to add later. So throw everything in there, and then if it doesn't work, pull it out. Don't be afraid to pull it out and get rid of it. We'll see. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We're going to finish off at that one. Don't forget that we have more videos coming up this week. We've got the Creator Town Hall coming up later in the week. I'm also over on Mike's Creative Source channel with Jade. We'll have more news on that coming up through the week. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you do. So hit the thumbs up button if you had some fun here today, and head over to studiolivetoday.com. There are links to literally everything, to my courses, to my gear guide, to every way that you can get in touch and participate in the community, and jump on over to the Create Record Release Facebook group if you want to do that as well. Thanks everyone for being here. I will see you real soon. Remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Keep creating